Khan. I'm a volunteer with RSVP and Volunteer Solutions, and I'm here to introduce the podcast and introduce you to Theresa with Volunteer Solutions.
Welcome to the RSVP Northern Virginia Weekly Podcast. This is Rob Paine, your host, Marketing and Outreach Specialist with RSVP Northern Virginia. RSVP Northern Virginia is a volunteer program specifically designed for those 55 years young and greater in the Northern Virginia area. Each week, we feature one of our fantastic volunteers or nonprofit partners. So sit back and enjoy, and thanks for tuning in. Hi, welcome to our newest RSVP Northern Virginia podcast. This is Rob Paine, Outreach with RSVP Northern Virginia, and today we are at the Paine building near the Fairfax Government Center with Theresa Brown, the Director of Volunteer Solutions. Theresa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for having us here, more correctly. Volunteer Solutions is one of RSVP's workstations, work partners, one of the agencies that we help get volunteers for. Theresa, just off the top here, could you sort of give people an idea of what, now you're part of the Fairfax Area Agency on the Aging. Could you talk a little bit about the AAA and before we start talking about specifically your department?
Sure. The Fairfax Area Agency on Aging, also known as the AAA, serves older adults in Fairfax County and the cities of Fairfax and Falls Church. So the goal of the AAA is to improve the quality of life and promote independent living, or better known now as aging in place, for older adults in the county. So it's part of the Department of Family Services with Fairfax County government. Okay,
that's fantastic. And of course, aging in place is one of the major tenets of what RSVP does. So that's why we're such a perfect fit. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Volunteer Solutions. Could you tell us a little bit about Volunteer Solutions, sort of the background and some of the programs that it supports?
Sure. So Volunteer Solutions, housed under the Fairfax Area Agency on Aging, we serve older adults, that's adults over the age of 60, and adults over the age of 18 with a disability. So we do that by providing volunteers, and we have over 3,500 volunteers that we recruit, manage, and train, which is a lot of volunteers. We're very fortunate to have that many. So we are also a partnership with Neighborhood and Community Services and the Health Department in Fairfax County. And what that means is the Neighborhood and Community Services has senior centers within the county. They have 14 of them. And if, for example, they have a need for maybe a yoga instructor, then they'll let our staff know, and by staff I mean Volunteer Solutions has 9 staff that will help to recruit and train and manage those volunteers and get a yoga instructor for that specific senior center so that it can serve the population there. And the senior centers, their participants are age 50 and over. And it's the same thing with the adult day health care centers. We would do the same thing, recruit and train the volunteer and help manage that volunteer. And the adult day health care centers, there's 4 in Fairfax County, so not quite as many. And they might provide different things like groups, socialization, things like that to older adults. So we try to help provide those volunteers for the centers. For the Area Agency on Aging, our clients in particular, our biggest program is Meals on Wheels. That's the one that most people have heard of. Mm-hmm. And we have about 1,300 volunteers just to run that program, and we could not do it without those volunteers. It really is the largest program. Now, we also have things such as providing social visitors to our clients, which means, we're trying to help them age in place and keep them from being socially isolated. So sometimes an older adult will say, I'm here by myself, I don't have family around. Is there somebody maybe that would like to come, once a week or once a month, just to talk with them, maybe about, their culture or anything really. Social isolation and grocery shopping, taking people out that maybe can't drive anymore. Mm-hmm. That's a big one. And also medical appointments. So there's a couple of different things. The only thing with the volunteers for those last opportunities that I mentioned, they have to be a client of adult and aging already. So the public can't just call in and say, I want to volunteer to come visit me because, I'm isolated. So they have to have a caseworker already.
Are those programs means tested, or is there any pre-qualifications?
Well, they call in through our intake line, and we have social caseworkers that would assess the person, or if somebody calls on their behalf, to see if there's any services that we could provide for them, such as nutritional services like Meals on Wheels, or other types of case management. And then once the caseworker is assigned to that person, it might be that they see a need. Yeah, so if there's a client or a person themselves in the community, or someone who is works closely with that person or a family member, they can call our intake line at 703-324-7948, and they can give information, and then the person that answers the phone will be able to assess whether or not a social worker or caseworker could be assigned.
Well, we'd like to let's talk a little bit about more about Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels is a program that I think a lot of people have heard of, but probably a lot of our volunteers aren't quite sure what the commitment is and requirements are. Could you talk a little bit more specifically about Meals on Wheels?
Sure. It really is one of our most popular programs because it's very flexible. You can volunteer 1 day a week, 1 day a month, once every couple months, or you could even be a substitute driver. We have over 45 routes, is what we call them, in Fairfax County. So let's say you live in the area around the Paine building where we're at today. You could choose one of the Fairfax routes or one of the Centerville routes, whatever's closest to your home or work. A lot of people do this on their lunch break because typically you pick up, it's between the hours of 10 and 2 by the time you start, pick up, and return to work. It usually doesn't take 4 hours, but it's within that time frame. Usually you pick up the meal, delivered to a handful of clients on the route, and then you're done for the day. So it's pretty flexible, and it's really, if you wanted to change, if you want to do every Monday or every Friday, whatever it is, they're pretty flexible with you. So a lot of people like that.
And like you mentioned earlier, I one of the first things I did when I as a volunteer with RSVP last year was went to our volunteer recognition picnic, which is coming up on March 7th at Wolf Trap this year. And I remember speaking with the volunteer that did Meals on Wheels, and one of the things that I just left a really big impression on me was, for a lot of those clients, that might be the only person they see all day.
Yes.
And so it really makes I say it's not just delivering food. Not that that's not important, because it is, but it's a lot more than that. I mean,
yes, that's very accurate, because in Northern Virginia it's a very transient area. So you might have older adults whose children have moved away, or they didn't choose to have a family, and maybe they don't have support systems. So if they're isolated in the house and they don't have any interaction, we often say that our volunteers are our eyes and ears. And we let volunteers know that at our orientation too, that if you have been delivering this route every week, and you start to notice that this person, something seems a little different or it's concerning, we ask that they call the our line or the caseworker to let them know, because you never know what might be going on with that person, and the caseworker isn't at that house every day. So the volunteers really are the eyes and ears for us to keep an eye out for these older adults.
Are there certain parts of the county that the need for Meals on Wheels volunteers might be greater than other parts?
Well, it kind of fluctuates. Right now, and what has been pretty consistent recently is our Vietnamese Meals on Wheels routes. So what that is a route that it's catered, it's ethnic Vietnamese meals that are delivered, and that route is one of our few routes that's 5 days a week. Our other routes are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but that's 5 days a week. So we're constantly looking for people to deliver to that population, and they don't have to speak Vietnamese. They can speak any language, but we really have a high need for that, and that's in the Falls Church Annandale area.
And this may sound like a basic question, but I'm sure a lot of people would think it. Where does all the food come from? Where do the meals come from?
Well, it's a contract that the county has with a company that provides those.
Okay, so they all come from a location.
Yeah.
And for those folks that I know, Carly had a volunteer the other day that and this is a profile we work with a lot, where they don't want to do a lot of driving. They don't mind driving, but they don't want to drive from Fairfax City to Franconia, for instance.
Exactly.
You guys can accommodate people so that driving distance is fairly concise?
Yeah, that's why we have the 45 different routes. So we try to isolate it to a small area, because we also have to deliver that food in a certain amount of time for food safety reasons.
Right.
So we can't have somebody picking up, say, in this location and driving all the way to the other end of the county, because it's probably not going to fall within that requirement for food safety. So we definitely try to shorten those areas and limit it, because we know people are busy and have other things to do also, and they don't want to spend their whole day delivering.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Now, just to give people sort of a reference point, we hear in the news a lot that the baby boomers and folks 55, 60, and so on are getting to be a bigger group. Approximately what percentage of the county's population is over 55?
Well, right now it's projected that by 2020, 1 in 4 people will be over the age of 55, and about 28% almost. I mean, it's over 1 in 4, so it's on the rise. It's a population that really, we need volunteers to help serve and help them age in place, and we need the younger side of that population of 55 and over to volunteer, and so it works both ways.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that is quite the demand. Now, when let's say someone comes to Carly, and Carly is with us here today too, the volunteer specialist for RSVP Northern Virginia. When somebody comes to Carly and says, I'm interested, I want to volunteer for Volunteer Solutions, then we send them over to you all. At that point, do they have to undergo any special training, orientations, or background checks?
Yeah, so there's an application process. So they start by doing the application online, and we respond within 24 hours, except for maybe a holiday or a weekend. And we do have them do an orientation. It's a 1-hour orientation, and we provide that in each of the 4 regions of the county to try to give flexibility to people. And we offer about 8 orientations per month. Okay. So hopefully somebody can find one orientation that they can attend. We do driving record checks, and we do criminal background checks, because we really want to ensure the safety of the population that we're serving, because sometimes it could be a vulnerable population depending on who's being served.
Does the volunteer have to pay for those checks, or? No,
the county covers it all. So we provide them the information, the forms, and we pay for all of that.
Excellent.
And we try to expedite the process, get them through as fast as possible, right, to get them started in their volunteer role.
That sounds a lot like what we do at RSVP.
Yeah.
We don't let people sit around.
Yeah.
We get them moving there. Because I think it's interesting, and I think Carly could back this up, that volunteers, especially senior volunteers, the ones that we work with, they don't want busy work and they don't want to sit around and wait. When they come in, right, they're ready to go. A lot of these folks have come straight from their careers, mm-hmm, or their businesses, or raising kids for 20 years, and they're active folks. They're not, they want to get going. That's your finding?
Yeah, we found the same thing, and really with us, and I'm sure it's the same with you guys, and we tell the volunteers, if you try something and it's not your cup of tea, then we'll find you something else. We have plenty of volunteer opportunities. So if you try and start with Meals on Wheels, but it's not really what you're wanting, and you want more client interaction, well, let's try social visiting, or really what our biggest need is medical transportation. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's your thing, because you spend quite a bit of time with someone transporting them to and from medical appointments. But yeah, they want to get going. They want to really have purpose. They don't want that busy work, and we have plenty of opportunities that can provide them that sense of purpose and meaning.
That's excellent. And in RSVP, we mirror that. One of our leading our engagement leaders, Ken Kozloff, he speaks a lot of orientations, and one of the things that he emphasizes also is that there's choice here. You're not pegged into one square hole or whatever, and then you're forced to stay there. And I'm sure, like, it sounds like Carly does, you offer that support. If somebody's struggling with something, they can call one of your staff up and get some advice that way also.
Definitely. We have 4, we call them regional volunteer managers. Mm-hmm. So in 4 regions of the county, we have, and they're housed in those areas of the county, regional volunteer managers. So if you live in that region, that's your point of contact. So if you're not feeling like this is a good fit for you, then you contact your regional volunteer manager, and they help you find something else that works for you, even if it takes a couple times.
That's fantastic. That's really good.
Yeah.
We sort of touched on this a little bit with the Meals on Wheels, but what are your greatest volunteer needs currently outside of the Meals for Wheels?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is Meals on Wheels, it is our biggest need, and we do have needs on certain routes, but really what we're in need of for our clients is medical transportation. And that's going to continue to be a huge need, as we talked about with the population aging. So medical transportation, usually it's volunteer or multiple volunteers depending on the day. that's assigned to a client to take them to and from medical appointments. And really, a lot of times if they're unable to drive and they want to stay in their home and age in place, we want them to be able to do so with dignity and to be able to have what they need. But it is our highest need, and even with all the great nonprofits out there and other organizations, we still have a need for drivers that we just can't fully fulfill for every client and every community member in Fairfax County to get them where they need to be for medical appointments.
And I think the other thing, just to touch on one thing, and you brought this up a couple of times, and I go back to my talk with the volunteer last year, is that all of these programs enable seniors to live independently, which helps everybody. It not only helps the clients and the folks being helped, but it helps the community at large because it sort of evens out. I don't know, how would you put it? It takes if you have all those people and you had to put them in assisted living or nursing because they couldn't get these services provided by volunteers.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily where they want to be.
Right.
And it is more costly to do that.
Right.
I mean, for that person, for the insurance, for everybody.
Right.
But, they want to be able to age where they've lived their most people. I can't speak for everyone, but that's what we hear a lot is they want to age in place with dignity, and by having volunteers to provide these tasks, we're able to help them to do that.
Right, and it really is a volunteer-driven program. I mean,
Yes.
no matter how much money you have, the county or whoever,
Right.
this program just doesn't work without volunteers.
Right, yeah.
It's just that simple,
Yeah.
would you say?
Yeah, I would definitely say that, and we're very fortunate to have such, a mass amount of volunteers in this county.
Yeah, no, it's great, and we want to get more.
Yes.
Let's see, now, we could talk about some of the other, could we talk about some of the other particular volunteer opportunities? We've talked about Meals on Wheels, we've talked about, are there any other things here that, and I know you have your, the 50 Plus Expo coming up, maybe you could talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
too?
we do. We have one-time volunteer opportunities. So sometimes we have things, and by the way, all of our opportunities are open to RSVP volunteers,
Right.
whether it be working directly with the client or the one-time opportunities or in the senior centers or adult day health care. But we do have some one-time events that we get some inquiries where maybe a corporation, they're trying to do team building for their corporate social responsibility program, or it's an individual that just wants to help out in the month of May in honor of Older Americans Month. So we have things like the 50 Plus Expo, which is at the Fairfax Marriott?
Fair Oaks Marriott.
Fair Oaks Marriott.
On April 30th,
Yes,
I think.
April 30th.
Monday, April 30th.
Yes, and that's open to the community for people looking to...
Just talk.
So we have the 50 Plus Expo that's coming up on April 30th at the Fair Oaks Marriott, and that's open to the public, age 50 and over. It's more geared towards that, who are looking for employment. And we have vendors that are there that they have positions that are available to people 50 plus, and it's a great event. There's resume review. It's just a wonderful event that we have coming up, and also we need volunteers to staff that. So to help with the resume review, to greet people, to just anything you can imagine to help because it's a large event. Also, we have in May for in honor of Older Americans Month is Helping Hands. So that's where we help our clients who maybe they want to stay in their homes, but they can't physically maintain the home like they used to. So whether it be yard work or the inside, they can't move things the way they need to out of the way, or just the maintenance piece of it. So we have that every May, and it's a program that just keeps growing every May with new clients and new volunteers, and we just get in there and try to help out. So it's one time, one day. It's throughout the month of May, but we try to gear it towards if a volunteer says, I can do May 12th,
Right.
and we try to match the client and the volunteer group, because it is a group event,
Right.
and then one of the volunteer solutions staff is on site for that day, helping to organize and manage the project. So a lot of people like to do it during the work week. We've had great companies come out with us in the past to help and just spend the day doing that, and RSVP has done that every year since we've had the project. So.
Right. No, I've heard about that, and that sounds like a great program. And that even goes into talking about what RSVP has done it's almost decluttering in some situations,
Yep.
where you go into a house and sort of try to clear, and that's
Because sometimes they can't, they might have stuff they want to donate that they don't need anymore, but they can't physically get the stuff together
Right.
and make the donation.
Right.
So, there's different size projects. Sometimes we're in an apartment, sometimes we're in a very large house with a big yard where the leaves need to be raked and limbs need to be picked up.
Sure.
And so,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And let's just to give that phone number again, if someone's interested as far as being a client, or is that a client intake number, or is that a volunteer intake number?
No, this is definitely, it is for people in the community who are looking possibly for services
Okay.
as an aging adult or an
As a
adult with a
client.
disability.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so you want to
70
share that number again?
Yeah, that's the 703-324-7948.
Excellent. And as we talked before, these opportunities through Volunteer Solutions are available anywhere within the boundaries of Fairfax County. Now it would include Fairfax City, Falls Church City, Vienna.
Yes, definitely.
And Clifton, and all the other municipalities within the boundaries of the county.
Yes.
Now we, all three of us here, yourself, Carly, and I, we all, senior volunteers are what we do, and why is it important for older adults to volunteer, in your opinion?
Well, there's an abundance of research out there that shows that it really does help older adults. Let's say, if you've retired and now you're looking to fill that time and to have a sense of purpose and meaning in your life, and that can help you in that way. It can help mental health wise. It prevents or helps with depression and isolation for that person who's volunteering. And also keeps somebody from becoming sedentary, especially in retirement. They say don't just sit around during the day for any of us, or even at a desk.
Right.
Getting up, moving, getting out, and having that social interaction is definitely a benefit of volunteering for any age, but also for
Definitely
over 50.
for seniors. That's
Yeah.
great. And why are, just to follow up on that, why do you think older adults are such a great resource for volunteer coordinators and volunteer projects and agencies like yours?
Well, we have found that they're very dependable. They have great knowledge, just a wonderful knowledge base, and they may have already cared for parents of their own, and are familiar with the population, or they see, okay, well, I might be aging in place one day and would need to have a volunteer. So I think they can start to relate to the population that we're serving.
Sure.
But they're compassionate. There's so many great things I could say
Right.
about our volunteers that are over age 50. But I think all those things kind of sum it up.
That's great. And I know you guys have partnered with RSVP for a while now. Why does Volunteer Solution enjoy partnering with RSVP Northern Virginia?
We're so grateful for the relationship and partnership with RSVP. It started in 2013, and we work so well together. You guys send volunteers our way. We have the opportunities for the population that you serve, and the one-time events that we do together, 50 plus. It seems like we're always working together on something. You guys recently did our holiday project, the service project there, where you guys put together things for our clients to give to them for the holidays, because they might not necessarily have anybody else to do that for
Right.
them. It was a great project. It's just everything you guys do we're appreciative of, and we just work so well together and have the same philosophies about the volunteers and the aging population.
We do, and we appreciate everything you do and all the help that you all provide with us, and we're definitely on the same wavelength with the age and everything we do. And I'd like to give this plug one more time for the 50 Plus Expo. It is really a fantastic event. There's a great story that one of our volunteers and engagement leaders, Shelley Brosnan, who also volunteers in our office, tells. She was at the 50 Plus Expo, I believe it was either last year or the year before, and there was a woman who had been unemployed for some time, and she went to all the different tables, and she went to one of the job tables, and they offered her a job right on the spot, and the woman was just beside herself and joyful, and those are the type of things. This thing really makes a difference, and it's not only a great way to find out the opportunities that are available for seniors to work, but also it's an incredible resource. I know RSVP will have a table there, and it's an incredible place just to find out about the volunteer opportunities. And as we always like to say at Volunteer Fairfax, a lot of times volunteerism leads to jobs.
Yeah, we agree with that. And one thing I didn't mention, because the 50 Plus Expo, we do have the resources to be a volunteer there, but more geared towards employment. But in the fall, we do ventures into volunteering every year. And this year it's in September, and I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's going to be at Annandale United Baptist Church, and we have resources just for people looking to volunteer. And it is sometimes, if someone's looking for employment, it's a great way to get out there and network, and it's an open door, to sometimes gain employment if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and the workshops too. One other point on the workshops at the 50 Plus Expo are really helpful. I know when I went there 2 years ago, and the resume building and that those exercises really do help people on an individual basis. I mean, they have classes where they talk about it, but then you actually get brought in and you meet across the table from somebody that goes through your resume line by line and gives you that help. So it really is something you just can't get anywhere.
The important thing on that is, we make sure that we want them to bring their resume already printed, because you're walking in with it in your hand, and you have someone sitting with you one-on-one to go line by line through your resume and say, maybe you don't need this in here, or maybe you could word it like this. So come in with that resume ready to go.
Good deal. No, it's a great, and we hope to see everybody out there. And we're pretty sure the date is April 30th.
Definitely April 30th.
Definitely April Monday, April 30th, Fair Oaks Marriott. There's plenty of parking at Fair Oaks Mall. So sometimes in the past there are different places but they've had it there last year, and it's just pretty much unlimited parking over there. So
it's a great venue.
It's a wonderful venue, and it's a beautiful location. So we hope to see everybody there. Theresa, thank you again so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And thanks again for joining us today. Just remember a couple of our upcoming events. We hope to see everybody at our volunteer appreciation picnic at Wolf Trap National Park for the Performing Arts. We're going to have behind-the-scenes tours. We're going to have food. It's going to be a wonderful day. And in the event that it should snow in March, which sometimes it's happened, we will be under the stage, I believe, and eating indoors. And as much as that behind the scenes that shouldn't affect that at all. So we look forward to getting everybody there. And if you're not a volunteer with RSVP yet, we hope to see you there too. It's a great way to be introduced to what not just what RSVP does, but hopefully a lot of our work partners will be there, our workstation partners will be there. I want to let everybody know who's interested in volunteering with Volunteer Solutions. Of course, you can call Carly on the RSVP hotline at 703-403-5360. If you want to find out more about Volunteer Solutions and just older adult services in general in Fairfax County, you can visit www.fairfaxcounty.gov/older adults and click on Volunteer Solutions. The county recently just went through an upgrade on their website, so it might look a little bit different than it looked before. It looks very nice, but should pretty much get you there. And you can also call the Volunteer Solutions phone number at 703-324-5406. Thank you for joining us today on the RSVP Northern Virginia podcast. For Carly Hudicki and Nadia Hoonan, this is Rob Paine saying thanks and have a great day. Remember, RSVP Northern Virginia, matching great senior volunteers with great opportunities. For more information, please visit our website at www.rsvpnova.org. Have a great day.